Good afternoon, it's Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, the number one tennis betting podcast and YouTube show with me, Nigel Seeley, and our senior ATP Tour handicapper, it's Sean Calvert. Brought to you in association with Bet Rivers. It's day number 4 at Wimbledon and looking ahead to the best bets on the men's singles second round. The conclusion of the second round is Sean Calvert. Sean, good afternoon to you, sir. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. I'm doing all right, actually, at the minute. I'm just, at the time we're recording, we've got a few matches on, haven't we? So I'm multitasking at the minute. I've got Fabio Fognini on the one TV and Quentin Alice, who's 2 sets and a breakup on my other device. So yeah, things are going all right at the moment. Yeah, how are you?
Well, I was all right a minute ago till my mouse died the battery, which we had to cut and then charge it up. Hopefully it lasts long. I should have a flat pad, shouldn't I? Really, what are they called? Flat pads. What are they called?
Are you talking about trackpad?
Trackpad. That's what I need. I need one of them. I need a trackpad.
Graphic man John just told me that.
Wait,
you must have.
I'm getting a lot of stick from.
It's underneath your keyboard.
I don't have anything like that. I just have this keyboard and look, that's it.
Oh, that's an external keyboard. That's why.
Yes, I don't have anything like that. So Graphic man John's giving me some stick because I don't know anything about IT. I've seen Graphic man John. He knows nothing about fashion.
It is fair criticism, in all honesty. You don't know much about IT, if we're being completely honest.
I know zero, and that's being kind to me. I've got all, the term "all the gear and no idea" is definitely for me in IT. I've got every single camera, lights, everything, but don't know how to use any of them.
You have got a lot of stuff that you don't seem to use. I don't know what's going on there.
I know. We've got a lot. We've got about 6 different microphones, and you can never get them working anyway. Let's move on to the tennis action. That's what you're here for. You're here to get the best bets for the Wimbledon singles in the men's draw. And Sean, you've broken down 4 matches. We can't really go into the matches from yesterday because they're all in play. Looking good at the moment, though, like you say, looking good. So hopefully we can add to the profit for the tournament and make sure that we continue a good little start that we're having. And it looks good so far, but we don't really know how they're going to go. So we might as well move in straight away into the bets for tomorrow, for Thursday. And the first match we are going to discuss features our tournament winner prediction on the future market. Is Hubert Hurkacz up against Artur Fils. Hurkacz is minus 360 to win this with Bet Rivers on the money line. Fils is plus 265. The spread here is 4.5. Obviously Hurkacz very serve dominated and very rarely gets broken. He's minus 106, but Artur Fils is a big server as well. He's plus 4.5, minus 121. And the total here, as you would expect when these two take to the court, it's 40.5 with over minus 118, under minus 108. Before you give us your thoughts on that match, Sean, the weather again this morning, bit of rain around. Looks like next week. Any concerns with that?
Yes. I mean, my concern would be for the tournament getting all the matches done. I mean, you can't play on grass with just, a few spots of it. Well, a couple of spots you can, but any kind of light, even very, very light drizzle, doesn't even have to be for long, a few minutes. It makes the grass, unplayable. If this was on clay, if this was the French Open, the weather we've had so far, most of the matches would probably have carried on, certainly have carried on longer because you can play a bit on clay. But the problem with the grass is any rain, and it's a long delay, isn't it? Covers have got to come on. We do that. Britain doesn't lead the world in many things these days, but I think we lead the world in getting covers onto a court quickly. And once they're on,
and it's applauded. I said it to you last year. They applaud it. They're paying like £200 to go, £300 to go to this, and they're sitting there not watching any tennis. Suddenly they'll clap the kids, bringing like, "Well done, great speed."
Say
doing our money. We're not going to watch any tennis. I'll give you a clap. Well done, lads.
That's Wimbledon for you, isn't it? It's the same with the oohs and the ahs. I think it must be in the small print somewhere when you buy a ticket. You have to do that. You have to clap the lads pulling it on. You have to go ooh and ah on centre court. And you have to buy strawberries and cream for whatever insane price it is. I'll have a look tomorrow. I'm there tomorrow. I'll have a look what price of strawberries and cream is. I don't really like cream, so I've never really had strawberries and cream at Wimbledon. I bet it's about
strawberries, say no cream.
I know, but I feel like I'd be wasting it then. I reckon it's probably about £20 for about 4 strawberries. But we'll see tomorrow.
You hang around the bins. Someone might throw one away.
We'll be hanging around the bins anyway. So
you might get one free of charge. You might get one. But honestly, if you've got a tennis player and he's like 2-1 up in a tiebreak and they go, player suspended, and you see someone going like that, well done, lads. You have permission to say something to them. You've got to say something to them. Why wouldn't pay that money? What do you want me to say? Why are you clapping? Why are you clapping?
There's no good end to that conversation, is there? I mean, they can do what they want, really. I mean, I'd rather have a go at them for something else. I perform a service when I'm at Wimbledon. I went to the practice court bit. You been down there, the Arangi bit?
Yeah.
I thought that was rubbish. I was expecting like about 20 courts for them to practice on it. It's tiny. And I got in there, and Massetti had just come out, and he was talking to some guy. And you could tell the people were wanting to ask him something. They didn't know who he was. So I said, do you know who that is? And they went, no. I went, that's Lorenzo Massetti. Oh, okay, thanks. And this other guy who was stood next to me, he was insistent that one of the blokes that was on court practicing was Novak Djokovic. He said, is that Novak Djokovic? I said, what, that little fella in the blue hoodie? I was like, no.
Why don't you tell him it is?
Why
don't you tell him it is? Why don't you say,
it didn't look anything like him. I don't know where he's got that from. The guy was about 5'6", like a little stocky fella. It didn't look anything like. I don't know where he got that from. I said, if that was Djokovic, there'd be about 400 more people here and a bunch of security. It was one of Flavio Caboli's hitting partners. And this other woman that was next to me, she wanted to take selfies with everyone, but she didn't know who they were. She said, who's that? I said, that's Flavio Caboli. So she's gone up to him. Hey, Flavio. Like she knew who he was. Hey, Flavio, can I have a selfie? And of course he's there. He obliges and she walks off. I said, you're welcome. You know.
Oh, you put her right. Why don't you start telling them the wrong players? That's what I do.
I didn't think about that, to be honest, because I'm so nice. You know,
people just tell everyone that's Botic van der Sandschulp. Just tell everybody you see that's Botic van der Sandschulp.
I might do that next time, actually.
Yeah, I think
that might be quite funny.
I
completely forgot what I was talking about now. What were we talking about? Conditions.
You were talking about Hurkacz. We know conditions, and then we were talking about Hurkacz.
Yeah, so the rain looks like it's set for Friday as well. I'm going tomorrow. At the moment, fingers crossed, that looks like quite a decent day. But Friday, there's another ton of rain expected. So going back to your original question, it might present a problem if this rain carries on. Yeah, because they've got a ton of matches to get through. So yeah, conditions are going to be. If it carries on raining, you know, there's going to be an issue. I would suspect.
It doesn't look good. I'm looking at the weather forecast here. It doesn't look good for the next week. Ever-changing conditions this summer here. Every time we look at the forecast, it says something different each day, each hour. It's changing all the time. So we might have no good.
The forecast is not accurate at all, is it? It's not accurate. So, you know, we'll see. Anyway, Hurkacz versus Fils. So Fils has been a lot better this grass court swing. Last year he was a bit all over the place. In fact, he said in his own words, last year I didn't understand anything about grass, is what he said. Now that he's comfortable on it, he should give Hurkacz a decent test. I mean, did you watch Hurkacz against Albot?
I watched the first set. He had a fall, didn't he? He had a fall, and then he sort of got back to winning ways. But it wasn't impressive.
It wasn't impressive at all. I was a little, after that first set, I was seriously thinking he wasn't perhaps going to win that match because he was dreadful. He's going to need a lot better than that to beat Artur Fils, who I said has now found his grass shoes, which is great for him because he's got the sort of game that can be effective on this surface. Hurkacz only won 45% of his second serve points against Albot yesterday. This is Albot. What is he, 34, 35? Always relied on his movement, and you know he won 55%, Albot, on his second serve. Hurkacz was outplayed off the ground by Albot in his first round, but Albot donated his serve away a few times with some double faults and a couple of lame serves. So he's going to need a ton better than that, Hurkacz. I suspect he'll produce a lot better, but I can't have him at this price. What's it, minus 360?
Yep.
It's not, no, definitely not for me.
I think it's...
It says on the screen, minus 360, yeah. So 2024 on grass, it's a very small kind of sample size, but it's the only one that's going to be accurate about Fils because he was poor last year. This year he isn't. So their service points won and return points won totals exactly the same, both on 103. Hurkacz 95% holds a serve. Fils 93% holds a serve. And again, Hurkacz only winning 30.6% of return points, which is, you know, it's not good enough, really. He does rely heavily on that first serve. It's enough to win him the vast majority of matches. Fils is only slightly better on return, 33.5%. So all this added up, it's got long match written all over it again, hasn't it? Two guys that hold almost all the time, but don't return very well and don't break much. You know, it's a no-brainer. I'm going to take two bets in this match. The first one, over 18.5 player games for Artur Fils at 1.76 minus 132. That is with Bet Rivers. I can't see Hurkacz winning this comfortably enough that Fils doesn't win at over 18.5 games. And I'll also take a bit of interest in the set one overs, over 10.5 games in the first set, I believe, is plus 130 with Bet Rivers. I think those are the two bets.
That looks a big price, that 130. When you consider the serve dominance on both of these players, that does, I would expect that to be around about, plus 110, plus 130 does seem a little bit of value there.
Yeah, so I'm going to take two bets. Not often I take two bets in the same match, but I think it's worth it here. It can only go one way unless one player has a really, really poor day, and the other guy is absolutely awesome, which doesn't seem that likely. That the Hurkacz's patterns are entrenched. He hasn't changed for a long time, has he? Feast, is ever changing because he's such a young player. But at the minute, the stats, the way things are, it's got to be overs, whichever way you want to do it. Those are the two bets I'm taking.
Yep, there was 37 different markets available on the Bet Rivers website, including that one. Lots of serve-orientated bets, set tie-breaking the match, various different stuff, over 1.5 tie-breaks, plus 160. But everything is looking towards a long match there, and the total was pitched at 40.5. That's Hurkacz up against Feast, Artur Feast. Okay, the next match we are going to start. Remember, it's 6 a.m. start as well, so nice and early start. So get the bets on tonight, Wednesday evening, so you don't have to get up nice and early on Thursday. Next match sees a very, very heavy favourite in Alex de Minaur, considered by many as a potential to go quite deep in this tournament. The draw's opened up a little bit for the Aussie. He's up against Jaume Munar, minus 3,335 for the Aussie, Alex de Minaur. Jaume Munar is plus 1150. The spread here is a massive 9.5. Now, 9.5 is a big line when anybody's playing it. Plus 140 for de Minaur, giving up 9.5. Jaume Munar is a heavy favourite, plus 9.5 at minus 186. And the total here is relatively low. It's pitched at 28.5. And if you look at the over and under on the total, it is very much in favour for the over. Minus 148 is the over price, and plus 114 is the under price. De Minaur is the 9th seed here at Wimbledon, but he's had problems against Munar before. They met 5 times previously. 3 wins to de Minaur, 2 for Munar, and Munar beat him in a challenger event and a futures event back in 2017-2016. But on the main tour, the French Open in Madrid, de Minaur won them both, but they were both on clay. They also met in the Next Gen tournament in 2018, which de Minaur come through in 5 sets. But remember that it's a very small format. It's the first to 4 in that tournament as well. So this is a heavy favourite here. A lot of people like Alex de Minaur. I've actually bet him to win the tournament, before, about 2 weeks ago now, before the tournament started. The draws opened up for him, but I really don't think I've got any chance of winning it, truthfully. But I thought it was a value play when he's been sided in the draw. But heavy favourite here, and the totals look cheap.
They do. I mean, Munar's underrated here for me. He can play very well on grass, Jaume Munar, as he showed again against Billy Harris in the first round. Billy Harris has been playing great stuff on grass so far this season. Well, this season on the green stuff. And Munar won 85% of his first serve points against a very informed Harris, as I said, and 60% on his second serve. Munar, we know him as a sort of clay grinder, wins his matches on clay by not missing. But he can be aggressive when he wants to be. It just doesn't seem to be in his DNA on the clay, particularly. He plays that way on the clay. But on the hard courts, we saw at the Australian Open as well at the start of this year. When he wants to, he can be very effective on first serve. He's a really good mover. He moves well on the grass. I saw him in Mallorca, where he was very, very close to beating Sebastian Offner. Offner made it all the way to the final, I think, didn't he, in Mallorca? And Munar won more points than Offner did in that match, and Offner just edged it in a third set tiebreak. So he played well then against an informed opponent. He's played well against an informed opponent in Billy Harris. He also beat John Isner here at Wimbledon last year, and he went 5 sets here with Cam Norrie a couple of years ago when Norrie was, I think, number 12 in the world. So if we look at the last 3 grass swings, that's this one, last year's and the year before's, Munar's got service points won and return points won, total of 101 on grass. Now that is not a guy that can't play on this surface. De Minaur's obviously ahead, 107. No question about that. I'm not suggesting that de Minaur's not going to win this match, but I just don't think he's going to win it as comfortably as these odds suggest. What was he, 1-33? It's a little insulting, that, isn't it? £33 to win a pound. Yeah, it's not great, is it? So the head-to-head is in favour of de Minaur, but it's not staggeringly in favour. It's 105 to 95. It's a decent advantage to de Minaur in terms of the service points won and return points won totals, but it's not it's not one-way traffic. If you look at some of the matches here that de Minaur's played that have gone over, let's say 30.5 games, Kimmer Copperjans last year took him well over that. Marco Cecchinato a few years ago, that well-known grass court player, took de Minaur well over 30.5, and James Duckworth again a couple of days ago. 3 tiebreaks, I think it was, well over. So if you are betting in this match, I think the only option, the best option by far for me is overs. Over 28.5, I think, is the line, isn't it? But that's quite short. That's minus 148. I would increase that toggle, just move that up a bit to over about 30.5, and I reckon you'll get about even money on that. I expect de Minaur to win, but Munar is not someone that goes away easily, particularly in these sort of matches. So over games here for me.
Yeah, I'm going to get you the price for over 30.5. Remember, head across to the Bet Rivers website. You'll be able to see all those prices. The actual little toggle's not on there at the moment. That they will be added tomorrow nearer the time. You'll be able to move that up. But at the moment, the current line is 28.5. And that is minus 148, but 30.5 is a line that Sean would play. Good news, Sean. Quinton Hallis has just beat Christopher Eubanks in straight sets, 6-4, 6-4, 6-2. So that was a nice plus money winner. He went off minus 125. We took the plus 110, so congratulations on that. That's a winner for us here on Game Bet Match, so well done. Hopefully we can cash some more tickets during the duration of this show, and obviously tomorrow as well. Remember, if you are cashing these tickets and you are betting with Bet Rivers do have an offer with Wimbledon. It's the Bet Rivers is offering Wimbledon live bet insurance on all tournament long. Each day, Bet Rivers will insure your first Wimbledon in-play bet of the day and give you up to 50% of your bet back in bonuses if your bet loses. Terms and conditions apply. To see the Bet Rivers app for full details before you bet. So up to 50% of your bet back in bonuses on your first in-play wager, if that in-play wager is a losing bet. Okay, moving on to the third match. Marcus Giron, who's been quite popular with you on the grass court swing. He's up against Alexander Zverev. Alexander Zverev is doing well at the moment. It's a big move on the outright market after coming through yesterday in straight sets against Cabash Bainer. Giron beat Searle, the young Brit who won Junior Wimbledon last year. And it's minus 770 for Alexander Zverev. Giron here is plus 480, which does appear quite a big price, actually. The spread is 5.5. Giron is evens plus 5.5. Alexander Zverev is minus 129. The total here is 36.5, which, given how well both of these serve, 36.5 does, again, appear quite a cheap line to me. The over is minus 115, and the under is minus 110. So it's more or less a pick'em over and under on the 36.5. Zverev is being considered by many people as another player that I've bet again, but I bet him straight after the run he had at the French Open. I thought if Djokovic isn't going to play, that Zverev might have a favourable draw. It has, and he's halved in price. But again, these are value plays. I'm not really thinking they can win it, but I'm hoping one of them gets to the final. But Zverev has been popular with Bet Rivers on the future market, and he is a popular player. And at minus 770, I don't think he's going to be very popular at that price, though.
No, I mean, he's been saying the right things, Zverev. He did say the other day that he now likes playing on grass, whereas before he hated it, in his own words. So for some reason, he's just randomly decided that he doesn't hate it anymore. He quite likes it. So, but this one looks like it might be closer than the odds suggest. Giron's been playing some very good tennis, this grass court swing. He's beaten Berrettini, beaten Rublev, who had a shocking loss to Comersane yesterday, beaten Andy Murray, been close against Draper, close against Hurkacz. His stats on grass, 2024, a service point to 1 every 10 points to a total of 101, and that's against all those players that I just mentioned that he's been playing. He's not been playing, the number 250 in the world. He's been playing quality, the top quality grass court players, and he's come out on 101 total. Zverev's is 110, which is a little bit misleading because he played Cabash Bainer the other day, who was just there for his first round money, and his stats were boosted, exponentially really on the basis of that one match. So I just can't see this being done in 36 games or fewer. He was extremely competitive, Giron, against Zverev a few years ago at the Australian Open. First 2 sets were tie breaks, I believe. He faded a bit after that. But, if you're Marcos Giron, you should be coming in here with a great deal of confidence, given how you've done this grass swing. To beat Berrettini, beat Rublev, these are class act. Now, okay, Zverev's serve is going to be difficult to break on this surface. I understand that, but Giron's service is also underrated. He's held a lot this grass swing, and he's extremely solid off the ground. So I think the only way to play this is the overs, over 36.5, which I believe is around about -115, 1.87. Hubert Rivers, or perhaps the play that offers a little bit more value, the over 10.5 games, is +160. Hubert Rivers in set one, that is. I think that's probably the one I'd go for if I was betting in that one. But I think overs, totals, any of the markets where they pay, it pays you to be more on the side of Giron, I think is definitely the way to go here. I think this will be a really good test for Zverev. See if this new love for grass is real.
As you said, they met once before. It was in the 2021 Australian Open. Giron won the first set 7-6, and then Zverev won 7-6 and come through 6-3, 6-2 in a match that featured 43 total games. And you would argue the case that Giron is a much better player than he was then, and Zverev obviously in the much better form than he was in 2021 as well. So that was a first round match, that one, but 36.5 on a grass court. Big servers. Giron is 5-3 this year on grass, and Zverev is 4-1. I love that, and the +160 again on the 10. I do like these 10.5 over bets. I do like them at +130. I've played 3 today. See how they get on a little bit later on, and I do like this one here with the +110, +160 for the over 10.5 in set number 1. Okay, the final match we are going to speak about is an all-British affair. It's the Britain's number 1 now, the man who I keep calling Scott Draper. It's actually Jack Draper. He's 28th seed. He's he's actually from where I come from. He's from Surrey, Epsom, where I was born, and he's up against Cam Norrie, a man who's fallen down the rankings and had a really bad slump in form. These two are flip-flopped as the nation's number 1. Draper's now the number 1 player in Britain, and Cam Norrie is the number 2. They have met 3 times previously. They met at Queen's Club in 2021 on grass, which Norrie won very easy, 6-3, 6-3, and he also beat him in Miami in 2022. But the form guide for these two players is going in distinctly different ways, onwards and upwards for Draper, and Norrie unfortunately is on a bit of a slump. Draper is -305 to win the match. Cam Norrie is +235. The spread here is 4.5. -120 for Norrie, -107 for Draper. 40.5 is the total, with over -106, under -121. Cam Norrie is obviously a former semi-finalist here at the All England Club, and Jack Draper has obviously just beaten Carlos Alcaraz with a brilliant performance on the grass. There's no doubt about it, Jack Draper, to me, is a top 10 player in the world. He's got everything about. The left-handed serve is a big danger on these fast conditions, but his body, his conditioning, and his injury record is the big worry for me. Cam Norrie, can he get back to some kind of form? That's the big question for this one.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Draper here, you know. You backed him, Draper?
I bet him to win only because of the performance of Alcaraz. He was 50-1, and by the time when he finished, he was 25-1. Again, I've just took value plays in the bottom half and hoping that one of them can hit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm concerned about Draper here. He looks tired already. After what for him has been a very long grass swing. If you're tired, I mean, I don't know whether you saw the EMA match last night.
I did.
Another struggle for Draper. He just looks a bit, whether it's mentally or physically, he just looks tired. And if you're tired, the person you don't want to see down the other end of the net is Cam Norrie. You really don't want to be playing Cam Norrie when you're tired. Everything's physical with him. Every point's a war. That's what Cam Norrie does. You know, that's how he wins his matches. But the way that Draper looked in his last 2 against Ema and against Tommy Paul just looks tired. He also has a questionable record against fellow left-handers such as Norrie. He's lost 4 of his last 6 against fellow left-handers. He's actually never beaten a top 75 ranked left-hander in his career yet. You got me doing it now, Scott Draper. Jack Draper. I hadn't thought of Scott Draper for about 25 years until you started talking about him.
Every time I see him, I keep thinking of Scott Draper.
You've infected me with your...
Sorry. Apologise.
Oh, let's see if I can get it out of my head now. I'm going to do this again in a minute, aren't I? So Norrie's also beaten him twice, beaten Jack Draper twice.
Jack.
But there's no pressure on Cam Norrie now. He was a strong favourite the 2 previous times he played Draper, and he won both times in straight sets. And now Norrie's got no pressure on him at all. People are sort of seeing, he's done great. He's maxed out his talent. For him to be a top 10 player, I think is a great achievement. Does look slightly like he's on the way down now, but he's only 28. he's not ready to sort of head towards retirement yet by any means, and he's got fewer miles on the clock. He's only played 14 sets this grass swing compared to 25 for Draper, and as I've said, Norrie will look to make this physical. Slower conditions here at Wimbledon than they were in Stuttgart, and the longer format for me, I don't think it really suits Draper. I prefer Draper. I think he's much more effective when he can be more explosive over best of three. Come out, give it his all, winning 2 or 3 sets, move on to the next round. Can't do that here against Ymer. A 5-set struggle. He shouldn't be going 5 sets with Ymer on grass, really. I just think that might cost him here. Norrie plus 4.5 games looks the sensible play. 1.84 minus 119 with Bet Rivers, or just Norrie on the money line. I think he's around about plus 235 with Bet Rivers. I think those are the two I'd be looking at here. It's just a feeling I get. I'm just not sure that Draper's quite got the legs, and this I think this will be a tough match against Cam Norrie.
Yep, big factor not to burn yourself out before a major tournament. Jake Draper's played an awful lot of tennis on this grass court swing, and he's up against the Brit Cam Norrie, who's wants to raise his game. The pressure's on the youngster Draper. He's the Seeley player, he's the number one. No pressure on Norrie. No one expects him to do nothing, and sometimes that's the best time to take a chance on the players at big prices, plus 235. Remember, Sean will be at the All England Club tomorrow. You can follow him at Because We Win on our social medias on Twitter and also on Instagram. Sean will be loitering around the dustbins. By the bins if you're over Wimbledon. Go and have a look for him. If you want to see him, buy him a fish finger sandwich. Treat him to a fish finger sandwich. And if you're doing any oohs and ahs, don't do it around Mr. Calvert. And obviously, if you're out down with Arangi Park, where the practice courts are, I think you want to know who that is. It's Botic van der Sandschap. That's it. Minus 543 units so far on Game Bet Match, but we're going to be winning today, so there's money to be added towards that. So we're going to the week probably a little bit slightly behind on the year so far, but lots more tennis action to come, lots more sports action to come here on the YouTube channel, Betting Weekly Studios. Make sure you subscribe. We have the tennis all the way through for Wimbledon Fortnight, as well as Euro 2024. We've just recorded the best bet show on the quarterfinals as the tournament gets to the business end. I'll be flying out to Germany on Friday afternoon and I'll be there for the fight all the way through to the final, so you'll be able to follow me as well on Instagram. So Sean and I will be on location and we'll have lots of great content, lots of in-play bets and lots of little news, provided we can get in good Wi-Fi receptions at these sporting events, which is a bit of a problem. Just try the bins. It's always the best place to go. Hang out by the bins. And finally, download this podcast, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, on your preferred podcast provider. That's been it. Sean, enjoy your day at Wimbledon tomorrow. Make sure you follow him on Instagram. He'll give you some good in-play bets. He gives us a couple of bets which were winners, which weren't on this podcast, so you can get all that action on the Instagram account. Enjoy your day, Sean.
Thank you.
And you'll be able to see me over in Germany on the Instagram account as well. And make sure you give us a follow and a subscribe on Betting Weekly Studios on YouTube. Thank you very much for all the great comments, all the brilliant new subscribers, and the views have been fantastic over the last month or so. So thank you very much. Tell your friends if you want some wagers and good value arguments for your wager. Just giving you a wager, we're telling you the reason why. We do all the hard work so you don't have to. Make sure you give us a follow. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week and hopefully cash some tickets.